today we are moving on to 6.5, which is the coordinate plane. So you guys are used to, when graphing points and coordinates, you're used to just using this box or this quadrant right there, okay? This is your positives. So you would go to the right 3 and up 4 for 3, 4, like that, okay? And you would plot it there. Now we're looking at the entire coordinate plane, which is all 4 of these quadrants, okay? Which also means we're going to be using some negative numbers, okay? So the coordinate plane is formed by the intersection of a horizontal number line and a vertical number line. So go ahead and write in the coordinate plane. Okay. So it has its horizontal number line and it has its vertical number line, and they intersect. Okay. The origin is where the number lines intersect and separate the coordinate plane. So the origin is right there in the middle. Okay, and that's, you can see, is 0, 0. Okay. That is where you start every single time. So you're used to starting in the bottom left. Now you start at the center, right at 0, 0. Okay. So then there are 4 quadrants. So the quadrants are the 4 regions the coordinate plane is separated into. Okay, so we have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Okay, and I want you to write those because there's going to be questions about that on your homework. Okay, so quadrant 1, this first one, is a positive and a positive. Okay, I want you to write these two. So that means everything in this quadrant is a positive. If you go to the right, it's a positive. If you go up, it's a positive. Okay, so quadrant 2, which is the second one right here, is going to be a negative and then a positive. So that means if the first number is a negative, like negative 2, and our second number is a positive 4, that means we go to the left 2, see it's a negative right there, and then we go up 4, so we would be in quadrant 2. Okay, so a negative, positive is quadrant 2. In quadrant 3, you can see right here and right here that they're both of our numbers are going to be negatives. So if we had negative 2, negative 4, okay, we would go to the left 2 and down 4, and we'd be in quadrant 3. Okay. So this one is negative, negative. Okay. And then this fourth one, we have our positives on the x-axis, negatives on the y-axis. So it's going to be positive, negative. Okay. Now over here on the left, I want you to remember x. So instead of just going right now, we're either going to the right or the left. So you always do the x-axis first. Okay, you go right or left first. And then with the y-axis, you either go up or down. Okay, and I left this here, run before you jump, so that you can remember. You go to the right or the left first, and then you go up or down. Okay. So on our little graph here, we have in this red, we have y-axis. And on this one, we have our x-axis. Okay. Your notes are going to come in handy while you're working on the homework today. So do not put them away once we're done. Okay. All right. So now, identifying an ordered pair. It says which ordered pair corresponds to each point. So we're going to start with T. Okay, so I need to find T on the graph, and it's right there. Okay, so I have to figure out, how do we get to T? So first, remember, we go on the x-axis, so we're either going to go right or left. Well, we know we're going to go to the right, and we go to the right 3, and then we go down 3. Okay, you can see they have a positive 3 and a negative 3. So this is 3, negative 3. That's how you get to T. Next, we have P. Okay, so start at your center, start at the origin right there. And P is right here, so we're going to go to the left 3 and then up 3. So P, we went to the left 3, which is a negative 3, and we went up, which is a positive 3. Okay, so you'd be do negative 3, positive 3. Okay? And if you're still confused on how I'm getting these negatives and positives, look up at this graph, at our coordinate plane up here, okay? Because P is in quadrant 2, so quadrant 2 should be a negative and a positive, which it is. Okay? Next, we have R. Okay? R is in the third quadrant, so we can see up at the top that it's going to be a negative, negative. Okay? So we go to the left 1, so that's negative 1, and then we go down 4. Even though there's not a 4 here, we should know it's a 4. And we went down, so that's a negative 4. So this should be negative 1, negative 4. Q. So this one is a little different. You can't use this coordinate plane up at the top because it's not in a quadrant. Okay? It's on the y or x axis, which means it's going to have a 0 in it. Okay? So to get to Q, we go to the left 2. So that's a negative 2. But then we're already there. So we don't have to go up on the y-axis at all. So y is just 0. So this should be negative 2, comma 0. And then with our S, we can't move on the x-axis at all. We just go straight up, which is a positive 2. So this one, since we didn't move on the x-axis, it's 0, comma 2. Just like that. All right. Next, so now we're doing the opposite. It's going to tell us what to plot, and we're going to plot it in the graph, in the coordinate plane. Okay. So it says plot the following points in the coordinate plane. So we'll start with A. We are going to label these so we don't get confused. Okay. It says negative 2, comma 3. So if I go up to my coordinate plane, I have a negative and a positive, so I know it's going to be in quadrant 2 because that's where the negative and the positive go. Okay. So I go to the left 2 because it's a negative 2, and then we go up 3 because it's a positive 3. And I mark my coordinates. Okay, and I'll write A there. So for B, it's a positive and then a negative. So that's going to be in quadrant 4, positive, negative. So it says 3, comma, negative 1. So we go to the right 3, and then we go down 1, and that's B. Okay, cross it off. And then C, so this one's a trickier one because it has the 0, but all that means is that we don't go right or left at all. We're going to the right or left 0 times, so we stay on that y-axis, and we go down 3.5, okay, because it's a negative, so we go down instead of going up. And I know negative 3.5 is right in between 3 and 4, so I'm going to plot my dot right there, and that's C. So we went 0 to the right or left, and then we went down negative 3.5. For D, we have negative 2.5, comma 1. So I can look up here, and it's a negative and then a positive, so it's going to be in quadrant 2. And we go to the left, negative 2.5, so that's going to be right there in between the negative 2 and negative 3. And then we go up 1. So it would be right there. To the left, negative 2.5, and then up 1, and that is D. And you do not need to be connecting these. It's not going to make a shape or anything. It's going to be a bunch of random plots. E, we have negative 4, comma 0. So that negative 4 means we go to the left 4, and we go up and down 0. So we're going to plot it right there, and that's E. If you want, you can try the next few on your own. You can pause the video and see if you get them right. F is 4.5, comma, negative 2.5. So that's a positive and then a negative. So if I go up here, a positive and then a negative, that's going to be quadrant 4. So I go to the right, 4.5. So that's going to be in between my 4 and my 5 right there. And then I go down 2.5. So this one's going to be kind of weird. It's going to be right there in the middle of the square because we went over 4.5 and we went down 2.5. Okay, so it's going to be right there in the middle. You won't have any of those on your homework. We're going to label that F. Okay. G is a positive and then a positive. So that's going to be quadrant 1. So that's an easier one. It's just 5, 3. Go to the right 5 and then up 3. Label it G. And then H is negative 2.5 and negative 4. So if I go up here, it's a negative, negative. So that's going to be quadrant 3. Negative, negative. So we go to the left, negative 2.5. I know negative 2.5 is in between negative 2 and negative 3. And then I go down, negative 4. It should be right there, and that's H. So your plot should look like that. And now it's asking, what is the distance between plot A and plot G? So that is from A to G. Okay. And on this, I can count the squares. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 squares in between them. So that's going to be 7 units or squares, whatever you want to say. Okay. So then it's asking, what is the distance between plot D and plot H? So this is going to be the same thing. We're going from plot D to plot H, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 units. All right, turn your page over. We're going to do one more question. So it says, Miss Renshaw has a secret chamber in her house. Its coordinates are negative 4, 5, 2, 5, 2, 1, and negative 4, 1. What is the area of the chamber? What is the perimeter of the chamber? So if we're asking for area and perimeter, it's most likely going to be a pretty regular shape. Okay, so if on the homework you get a real funky looking shape, you probably did something wrong. Okay, so our first one is negative 4, 5. So that's a negative and then a positive. So I know that's going to be in quadrant 2. Okay, so I go to the left 4 and then I go up 5. Right there. Okay, they don't have any letters attached to them, so I'm not going to label it. Then I have 2, 5. So I'm going to go to the right 2 and up 5. Okay, the positive ones, remember, you guys should know from past experience. Then we have 2, 1. Go to the right 2 and up 1. Then we have negative 4, 1, and that's a negative and then a positive. So that's going to be in quadrant 2 again. So negative 4, go to the left 4 and go up 1. Okay. And I'm going to connect them now. When you're finding perimeter and area, it's easier if you connect them. Okay. So now if I want to know, I'm going to change that. Okay. We want to know the area and the perimeter. So I need to figure out first my base and my height. Okay. So we're here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4. On the bottom, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6. And so since it's a rectangle, I know the other sides are the same. So this is also 6 and this is 4. Okay. Hopefully you remember how to find area of a rectangle. It is A equals base times height. So my base is 6 and my height is 4. So all I do is multiply those. So 6 times 4 is 24. And it would be units squared. Remember, you always square your label or your answer when it's area. Perimeter, all you do is add all of the sides. So this would be 6 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. So we get 10 plus 10, which is 20. And our label is just 20 units. Okay. Email me if you guys have any questions. This is due next class. The homework is due next class.